Hello, everyone. This is the Jimmy Hitchcock podcast, a talk about the truth. It's called Post, P.O.A.S.T, the real truth. Plan of action, stop talking. Hello, hello, hello. My name's Jimmy Hitchcock, and this is the Jimmy Hitchcock podcast called Post, P.O.A.S.T, the real truth. And I will be delving into topics, many topics, some politics, some religion, some history, some culture. But my main passion is the black male and the black male youth. And I would like to talk a lot on this topic, and I like to delve into why we as black males are at the bottom of the caste system. Yes, a caste system has been set. It has been set by not only society, but it's also been cast by social media. Social media has played a big part in our caste system. But I'd like to talk about myself for a second, all right? Give you a background and history on who I am, what's happened to me in my life, and why I feel like I need a platform to talk to you about the things that I want to talk to you about. So I grew up in Concord, North Carolina, a place right outside of Charlotte. To give you a general idea of where that is or how close we are to Charlotte, a place I played at the Carolina Panthers Stadium is about 20 minutes from Concord, North Carolina. One of the vivid memories I have as a child is my mom sliding up under my bed when she was running from someone who was trying to abuse her. I often think about how she felt or how fearful she was when I do think back to that. I don't think about it often, but when I do think about it, I think about how fearful she must have been to actually run into my room and slide up under my bed. When she was found by the person who was abusing her, he cut her on the back of the leg and really injured her, and she ended up in the hospital. That was the first memory. That's one of the first memories that I do have of my mom and me being young, and I was actually in the kindergarten at the time. Another memory that I have is we moved to New Jersey, and my mom, she was just an incredible protector of her kids. My sister, she had a bully that was bullying her, and the bully was 18. We went to a school, kindergarten through 12th grade. And we used to walk home from school, and my sister, she had a bully. And that bully would pull her hair every single day and say, Hitchcock, Hitchcock, and would pull one ponytail one way and one ponytail the other way. But my sister kept telling me, hey, don't tell mom, don't tell mom. But I was just boiling inside, and eventually, when my sister was asleep, I went in and told my mom what was going on with her. The next day, my mom waits for the girl to get off the bus. She grabs the girl by the hair and slams the girl to the ground. All right. She's hitting the girl in the face, and then she says to the, don't you ever put your hands on my daughter. While she was hitting this girl and beating this girl up, the girl's 18 years old, but my mom couldn't have been too much older. I was 7 years old, so she was around 24. My mom's beating this girl up, and her gun falls out beside her. All right. This is the type of woman my mom is. A phenomenal human being, a phenomenal person, has been through a lot in her life. I love her to death. That's my hero. Some of the other vivid memories I have of my childhood is when we moved from New Jersey to North Carolina. We had a serious, thick accent. We used to talk like the Northerners talk. You know, before we got our southern twang back, I talked like a Northerner. And what would happen is the kids, they did not like it for some reason. They used to talk, and you know, I'd say ball, and they would say, ball, it's not ball, it's ball. So we just get into skirmishes over the way I talked. And it seems like that from the time that I touched down back home in the bottom, I got into a fight which amounted to like, it seemed like 365 days of fighting. All right. So I had so many people that I would get in skirmishes with. I, I, I became one of the people that was just a terror in the neighborhood. All right. I just became a really bad kid. Just moving on from my early childhood, there are other things that I remember as well. And some of the most devastating came in the form of injury. Uh, I broke my arm. I broke my kneecap playing football. And I had a cast on from my hip all the way down to my ankle. I would go on to sustain these injuries for the love of football, right? And in my ninth grade year, I tore my ACL, my left ACL. In the 10th grade year, I was celebrating a block punt and ended up tearing my right ACL. All right. So I ended up tearing both my ACLs in high school. And my coach, who at the time, his name's Easy Smith, he ends up taking me to a urologist to get the pus and fluid sucked out of my knee or drained out of my knee. And that was the only surgery that I got as far as my ACLs was concerned. So as I moved on to college, I had torn ACLs. All right. There was a doctor always telling me in my physicals in high school that I shouldn't be playing football. But I had told my mom when I was in the 6th grade, if she lets me play football, that I would buy her a home. And I told her that in the 6th grade. And she actually laughed at me and says, all the kids say that. When she laughed at me that day, I don't think she meant to laugh, but it was just something that I think that was a reflex to something that was so impossible. But when she did that, she lit a fire under me that made me really want to do it, to disprove that laugh. So I set on my journey. And my journey started when I was in the 6th grade. And a coach started helping me at that time to heal my knees and heal my injury by strengthening my muscles. All right. He actually handed me a pair of sweatpants and said, grow into these. His name's Randy. He said, grow into these. He gave me a double X pair of sweatpants. And I was probably at the time 145 pounds. By the time I was a senior in high school, I was squatting 445 pounds, and those tights, those sweats that he gave me became really tight fitted on my legs. So that's how I started to heal myself. One of the more traumatic experiences that I had was I was a Boy Scout, and we went on a camping trip with the troop. And I was so excited about going to the camping trip. I had gotten my bag together and gotten all the things together that I needed to get to go camping. And once we got to the camping ground, there was a fire in the middle, and there were tents around the fire. Well, when we started roasting marshmallows, I ended up getting lifted up for some reason. I'm in the air after about 5 seconds of roasting marshmallow. And I turn and look, and there's the two scout leaders. One's got my hands and one's got my feet. And they're swinging me back and forth saying, throw the nigger in the fire, throw the nigger in the fire. And I'm squirming. And I was just it was so much fear that took over me during that time. But I also had packed a knife in my sock. I had a switchblade that one of my mom's baby daddies, for lack of a better word, he would always tell me to keep a switchblade in my sock or in somewhere where you can get to it. So as I was squirming around, I ended up getting one hand loose, and I slipped my hand in my sock, and bow, I popped it open, and they dropped me right away. Right? I was just one of those kids that was really bad, and I ran back, and me and Brian both go back into the tent, and I'm sitting in front of Brian with the knife drawn because we're thinking that they're going to try to throw us in the fire. Later on that night, I get pushed out of the tent, literally out of the tent, into the rain. They pushed me out while I was asleep, and I'm in the rain, but I'm sleep so hard, and I used to sleep so hard like that I didn't even know until later, like soon as the daybreak. So that's one of my more traumatic experiences, and I think that kind of shaped some of my ideas and views about, and it's something that I just don't think about, and I don't hold anybody responsible. Like, I don't think like all white people like this or all people are like that. It's nothing like that. It was just something that shaped my trust in people. During that time, the drug game or crack hits the scene, and it affects my family in a way that was major. All right. Some things happen to my mom. I'm going to get her on a podcast, and I'm going to have her talk about her situation. But some things happen to my mom, and she ends up in jail. And we're virtually on our own, raising kids, and there's me and my brother and my sister. My sister ended up having babies, and they ended up moving out. So it ends up being me, and just for a couple years, me, my younger sisters, and my younger brother. Angelo, Khadijah, Kim. My other sisters are Roz and Ann, and we ended up kind of doing the raising as my mom was battling her situation.